Okay.
It was just a delay.
Yay. Okay. So I'm gonna go look and see if I can see it. Do you see us being live on YouTube, Linda?
I do. We are live.
Hey, we are live. Oh gosh. Okay, great. Normally I'm the one that gets to see all this, and so without it, I'm just like, what's happening? Hey everybody. Welcome to yet another awkward initial start with the Third Eye Salon. We wouldn't know what to do if we didn't have some type of tech issue on a Saturday. So welcome to Third Eye Salon, where each and every week we take a fresh look between the veils of reality. And this week, we are taking a fresh look between the veils of plant medicine and how working with the sacred medicine can transform you and your life. So let's go ahead and hop in and see who's in the salon today. We have Linda Coulter-Burge, psychic, conscious business coach, extraordinary woman, one of my besties in the world. Linda, how are you? You're looking gorgeous. What's going on today?
I am doing great. I'm so excited to talk with Drew and to see all of our peeps in the chat who are already starting. So
Yay!
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy that we get to spend another Saturday together.
Excellent. Thank you, Linda. And thank you, everyone in the chat. Have any names you want to call out, Linda, that's in the chat so far?
Probably, but I can't see them at the moment.
Okay, so. You have your glasses on. That's right. No, I get it. I totally get it. All right, and we have Jillian Leonard, OBE, ET Spirit, and Kundalini Experiencer. Jillian, how are you? How's it going today?
Oh, I'm good. I'm really looking forward to talking to Drew. It's topics that I've been really interested in but haven't experienced, so I'm just pumped.
Excellent. Me too. Same. I've done a little dabbling with psilocybin, but I'm respectfully dabbling. Except, well, anyway, we'll get into that later. But I've not done the specific plant medicines that Drew is a keeper of. So I'm very excited about that. Speaking of which, Drew Bankey, aka Blue Thunder Man. Drew, we are so honored to have you here. You're such a warm, wonderful energy. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
Absolutely. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Kat Udero, empath, entrepreneur, and psychic wrangler. So we're going to go ahead and do our little bit of how do you say just those little details that we have to get, housekeeping, that's what we say. So Linda is, as you know, she's in the chats talking with people. She's also our bouncer. Her policy is be nice or get out. So if you feel that you need to argue with people or tell everybody that they're wrong and you have the one and only truth, then bye-bye. We're not going to do that here on the show. So we just don't have time for that. We're very respectful of each other's beliefs and experiences. So down in the description box, we have got our Facebook event page. Oh, please join our Facebook event page. That would be great. We have our Facebook group page. So if you want to get to know us better and get to know be part of our community, we just have a great time in our group. So please join that. You can buy us a virtual coffee, and every week we have somebody donating to us that clicks on that link. So thank you for doing that. We super appreciate it. It makes everything so much smoother for us. And then of course we have got Drew's links down there. So you can link to his book, which I'll talk about in a second here. You can link to his Facebook page, to his YouTube channel, and to his website. It's all down there for you. And of course, we ask that you give us a thumbs up, that you share our content with people that you know are going to appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell, because we don't always go live on time. It doesn't always happen, but we do our best. So the notification bell will let you know when we go live for realsies. All right, now I'm going to read you Mr. Drew's bio, and then we're going to hop into this. Our pre-show was so rich and so good. I just feel like Drew's one of those people that I could interview for days, and there would be more pages to unfold, more portals to jump into with this man. So Drew Bankey, aka Blue Thunder Man, is not only an Iraq Freedom War veteran and medicine man, but also holds such Native American distinctions as Sundancer and Sacred Pipe Carrier, also carrying the South American name of Aguila Cósmica, Cosmic Eagle. He is wildly and widely considered a master of plant medicine, specializing with Huachuma, I probably messed that up, aka San Pedro, Ayahuasca and Changa. Drew is co-founder of Sacred Journeys Within, a nonprofit plant medicine church, author of the internationally distributed book, I'm Perfect and So Are You, which is a book on Drew's journey of transformation, essentially. We'll talk about more about that. A Clear Channel of Osiris, Archangel Michael, and of Source. His experiences with an NDE, several ET contacts, being a caretaker of the crystal and star altar, and participations in ancient sacred ceremonies have fostered a relationship with off-planet intelligences in which in turn has led to a responsibility as a messenger of humanity's evolutionary shift. Drew currently resides in Blanca, Colorado, where he and his wife, Ella, are in the process of expanding their off-grid homestead, educational center, equine therapy, and plant medicine church. So Drew's going all the time and loving life, I have to say. That's another question I want to make sure we bring up, because I know, Drew, like your life is so rich now and it's so wonderful. I mean, we want to get into your journey of transformation. But before we do that, I just want to say, if you are excited to meet with Drew today and talk about plant medicine and find out how plant medicine works and how it could potentially transform you and your life, give us a thumbs up, give us some love. And my first question for Drew actually is, where does Blue Thunder Man come from? What is that about, Mr. Drew?
Blue Thunder Man come from my first Sundance. I was at Sundance and I was getting ready to dance, and I asked one of the grandmas, the elders, the female elders that was there, indigenous elders, if she could retrieve my name from the spirit world. She was known as one that could travel to and get information like that. So a lot of people would go to her and, give her offering of, usually just a little bit of tobacco is what a traditional indigenous offering is for a question like this. So you would just give her a small pouch of tobacco and I asked her if she would give me my name. And it's the name, we all have a spirit name. Somewhere in the cosmos, we have a name, the original name that our vibration, our individual vibration is. So depending on what modality that you use to connect to that spirituality, there's a name that manifests. So I asked her, and she said it may take 4 days, and she said it was going to take a lot on her physically. And I got up and I thanked her, and I got up and started walking away. And she said, "I got your name, and your naming ceremony will be tomorrow." And it was that quick. I asked her, like, I was like, Aunt B, I was like, what is my name? And she's like, "I can't tell you until the naming ceremony tomorrow." And she's like, I can't tell you this much. You're going to have to work on remaining humble on your path. And this was a couple years ago. So Blue Thunder Man came at.
What does it mean? Because thunder is a sound, right? So like blue lightning would make, in terms of our linear logical mind, I would think blue lightning. Okay, you see lightning, thunder, you hear. So it's kind of like hearing the color blue. Is what I think, what's the meaning for you?
To go deeper into it, and I guess I've never shared this ever on an interview, exactly what it means. So there's a indigenous prophecy in Anishinaabe, indigenous prophecy in Anishinaabe and Ojibwe, and they talk about 4 thunderbirds coming back at a time of peace, and basically they're talking about the times that we're in right now. And the way that it's worded, there's going to be a thunderbird coming from the north, south, east, and west, all 4 directions. The thunderbird from the north is supposed to be the blue thunderbird. So that's the Thunderbird clan is part of my clan, my spiritual clan, and Blue Thunder Man is meaning that I represent the Blue Thunderbird coming from the north, which is essentially is the connection to source. And the other birds have different colors, and they're in different directions. But there's three other Thunderbirds that are actually at my Sundance. So
Oh, wow. So
It's a lot to unpack to answer that question, but I don't know.
Well,
that's what I got.
no, that's cool. Again, I feel like we could take anything that you say and we could spend an hour on it, because I feel like there's so much content with each part of your journey. And so you're like Blue Thunder Birdman, really, like you're
Yeah. So that
Oh, wow.
tattoo, and this is actually before I got the name of Blue Thunder Man, I got this tattoo intuitively, and
Oh, wow.
that's the Native American
Thunderbird.
symbol for Thunderbird.
Yeah.
So
I already have lots of questions, but one of them is, do you know the other three, what they represent? The other three Thunderbirds.
I know yellow. I know the yellow is the east, and the other ones I don't know the other ones. I believe the west is red, but I'm speaking out of knowledge right now. I'm just kind of grabbing, but I know there's a yellow in the east, but it's kind of, these things are kind of always have been only shared within the people that talk about it. So
Oh.
They're
Okay.
the four directions and the colors of the nations. So.
yeah. So the four directions are so powerful because when we pray to the four directions in our ceremonies, we're praying to the north, south, east, and west, and we're basically saying, and above and below. So we're praying to Father Sky and Mother Earth, and we're saying we're right here in the middle, and we're recognizing that the center of our universe, my universe, is right here. So that and then the ceremony and the energetic field starts from that point. So each of us, the center of your universe is your, basically your heart chakra, or your chakra system in general is the center of your universe. If you're recognizing it anywhere other than within yourself, you need to go within yourself and find that, because that's really truly where it's at.
Well said. I'm going to go by Rainbow Thunder Kitty from now on. I know I named myself, but I feel, I'm just kidding. I'm JK.
It's all right if you feel it.
Rainbow Thunder Kitty. Well, what I want to do before we get to Drew's story, because we want to talk a little bit about that got Drew. That's good. That made him laugh. I want to talk about Drew's transformational journey, but before we do that, I also want to break down the three different plant medicines that you are a keeper of, Drew. Because when I was tuning into you before we had our pre-show talk, I could feel that like you are revered within the spirit world, and not to fan the ego, but just like you are in your proper place, you are doing your work, and it's like you have been given these honors because you take them so seriously and you are so intentional with it. And so we want to get
me and the homies are pretty tight.
Yeah, well,
me and the homies are pretty tight on the other side.
I can feel it. It's like they're like locked arm in arm with you. I can really feel it. So I want you to, if you would break down the three different medicines that you facilitate within your church, and we'll talk about the church in more depth here in a little bit. But can you kind of describe what these medicines do? We've got Changa, if I'm saying that correctly, and then San Pedro, or can you say the indigenous name for San Pedro?
Huachuma.
Huachuma. I always try to make it more difficult. Huachuma, and then ayahuasca. So
yes.
Tell us about Changa first,
Yeah.
if I'm saying that correctly.
Well, let's start off with ayahuasca, if you don't mind.
Okay,
because
you lead it.
Ayahuasca is my savior. I wouldn't be here without her. My life wouldn't be still here. I would have definitely continued on the suicidal tendencies until I, succeeded in that. In 2016, she saved my life. Stumbled across her in a ceremony. Basically, I was going through the VA healthcare system. It failed me, just the normal story of that. It's the story you hear all the time of the VA system failing veterans. And, the way they deal with trauma is very unhealthy. and we can get into that more later on. But ayahuasca saved my life, and in 2016, the first ceremony was really hard. Second ceremony was I saw everything. I saw past life, what I interpreted at that time as past lives, but several different energies that was making up my body at that time. And I met ayahuasca in that second ceremony. In the third ceremony, I got told that I was going to be working with ayahuasca, and basically shown that I had this vision on my third ceremony that I was speaking to a bunch of people, and the vibration was coming through me, and I was transmuting it into a lower vibration so it could be spoken in words, so it could be, people could hear it, and then they could raise up and then be connected to that same vibration without having to be it spoke. So really mind blowing. And like I said in the pre conversation, gallons of ayahuasca later, here I sat. So ayahuasca is a plant. It's a vine that grows in the Amazon. Predominantly, it grows in other environments as well, but it grows really well in the Amazon, close to the Amazon River basin. Mainly in Peru is Shipibo tribe is the most widely known tribe that has dealt with ayahuasca for thousands of years. There's other tribes in Brazil, Colombia, all over South America, Mexico, and obviously starting up in North America and vining around the world. But the tea itself is a mixture. I go through the physical components of ayahuasca first, and then I get into the her energetic signature. But on the physical side, she's a Basteris capi vine that grows in the Amazon, and she's a mixture traditionally of chacruna, which is a bushy plant that grows at the base, normally at the base of the vine. So they normally grow in the same vicinity in the jungle. And those two are the traditional plants that are used in ayahuasca. Different blends from different countries sometimes add different, sometimes different plants in with it to add to the alchemy of the brew. But yeah, predominantly it's the Basteris capi vine and the chacruna, and that's mixed into a tea, and it's brewed for traditionally 4 days. So, and then from there, it could be brewed in different ways to adjust the consistency of it. But it's usually brewed for 4 days, and that's a ceremony in itself. It's a very connecting to work with a medicine like that. So that's the tea, and when it's ingested, it's a ceremony that lasts from 6 to 10 hours. Question mark. Could be more, could be less, but that's the basic outline of the ayahuasca and the ceremony. But on an energetic level, ayahuasca is, for me, and what she really represents is the divine feminine consciousness of the universe. So she represents half of the hemisphere of the informational field of the whole universe. And San Pedro and peyote, they hold the other side, the masculine side of that hemisphere. So so that's ayahuasca in a nutshell. I mean, there's other, I don't know how deep you want me to go with each plant, but that's.
Yeah, just to let people know that, like, I guess to give them a sense what ayahuasca does. And, like, I've studied ayahuasca in terms of studied in terms of watching people's conversations about it. And also I'm empathic. So when people talk about things, I'm also like empathically tuning into it. So, what it does for you is it basically rips you out of your personality, and it kind of forces you to see yourself from a way more objective, detached place, and while flinging the doors open to your inner worlds and the worlds beyond, depending on what you need. Because people's journeys are different for where they're at. Like one of the things you said was that you've met 1,000 Jesuses through the ayahuasca ceremony, because people have these encounters of like becoming all that is. I think I'm Jesus, right? I think I'm Jesus. Well, you are, you know, and you're not. So that's kind of like
Yeah.
part of it that I want to break down too for people, is that you experience other realms that your linear, logical, egoic mind has no context for, right?
Yes, very well said. It's a disassociative for your ego self, your body, and it allows you to tap into higher vibrations and higher dimensions. And really, when you're in that space, it all makes sense. Like when you're in the ayahuasca ceremony, it's all making sense. But the minute that you come back and start to process it in the 3D lower vibration, things start to get skewed, because you have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of conditioning of the storyline, of this physical storyline that greatly throws the message off track. And that's why sometimes people need more than one ceremony. Sometimes it's a process that is ongoing for the rest of their lives, and they keep doing ceremony, checking in from time to time. Sometimes maybe it's a yearly thing, or it's on their birthday, or every 5 years, or whatever it is for them. And usually after a ceremony or two, they'll get a message. They're like, okay, you don't check in until you need to. They call it a check-in. Some people that normally go to the ceremony often, they call it a check-in. Or it's after something happens in their life that they have a hard time processing, a death in their life or a change in a relationship, they'll do a check-in and really the ayahuasca is really allowing you to check in with yourself. Like this whole informational field that people think that they're checking in, it's not the ayahuasca doesn't hold the information. She just allows you to access the information that's inherently inside you, that has been given to you from birth to access. And we have all the tools inside of us. We're a massive universe walking in on two legs, and so much more. And ayahuasca allows you to understand that, in a very deep level. Changa is a younger sister at ayahuasca. She was born in 2004 from an ayahuasca ceremony. She was channeled through ayahuasca ceremony. The person in ceremony was asking, why can't we do this in an easier way? Like, why do we have to set for 6 to 8 hours? Why do we have to throw up? Why do we have to go through all this? Can we have more compassion? And in 2004, ayahuasca granted that and gave a new ceremony through her ceremony to a participant in an ayahuasca ceremome. Don't ask me his name because I can't recall it at the time. I should okay. Absolutely know his name, but I don't.
You can look it up online. It was in Australia. So you can look up Changa, Changa. Yeah. You'll find it. Yep.
Australia. Yeah. Great. Yes. So ayahuasca, Changa came to us, and me and my wife, in 2017. We had our medicine family come up from Peru, and they gifted us with a Changa ceremony for our wedding present, basically. And I had such an amazing experience. I met ayahuasca Changa, because it's kind of, for me, it's kind of the same thing. I met that spirit in a space where it was just me and her, and she was so massive and powerful and loving at the same time. And I'll never get that image out of my head. So both me and my wife she had amazing experience as well with the Changa, that first ceremony. And we, was working with ayahuasca already at that time. And, we're just kind of praying, in the background, like, if this is ever in our line, like, I want to work with this medicine, because I saw the power in, it's within an hour, you can have the same experience that it may take you 5 ayahuasca ceremonies to get to. I can get you there in an hour, and you can come back and be blissed out and really have a transformative ceremony in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the discomfort that you would with a traditional ayahuasca ceremony. So I wanted that in my tool bag, and I prayed for it. And towards at the beginning of this year, I was in a dream, and ayahuasca come to me, and she's like, you prayed for this, and here's the recipe, and I want to introduce you to Changa. And she's just a evolved form of me. And I was like, well, in the dream even, I was like, I don't want to, work with something. I don't want to work with another feminine medicine, because I work with you. And she's like, look, you're evolving, your vibration's changing. You let me evolve too. Don't step in front of my evolution. I was like, okay. And she gave me the recipe for Changa in that dream. And in the dream, she showed me, okay, there's supposed to be blue lotus in it. There's supposed to be rose petals in it. There's supposed to be pure dimethyltryptamine in it. There's supposed to be cappy vine in it. And she showed me this whole recipe in the dream. I woke up from the dream, and I told my wife, I was like, Changa come to me finally after like 2 or 3 years of hardcore praying for it. She finally come and like gave me the blessing to work with it. And she's like looking at me like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, she gave me the recipe and the portions that I'm supposed to use and everything. And she's like, well, I guess we'll have to get it. And I was like, no, it's in the house. In the dream, it showed me the blue lotus, and it took me in like the bottom of my cabinet where I had blue lotus that someone had gifted me a couple years ago. And I just put it in the cabinet. It got like shuffled around through the moves or whatever and got pushed to the back, and I forgot about it. It showed me where I had cappy vine that I had in my my altar space in my medicine chest that from Ecuador that my buddy brought up a couple years ago. I forgot about. Had DMT that someone gifted me, a couple of grams of DMT that come from mimosa that was a pure extract. And
Wow.
in the dream, it showed me in the house where it was. So I went straight to every spot where it was, dug through stuff, found it all the way down in the corner of drawers and everything. Sat down, made the medicine, how it showed me to make it. And then I sat there and was like, okay, now I got to take the ride. Like, and that was, it was kind of like jumping off the cliff. But as soon as I went in, I was met by Changa, and she was in tears. I was in tears. And it was like a meeting that was really supposed to take place, from the beginning of time. And yeah, we've been working with it for sometimes in conjunction with ayahuasca. So we've kind of had a hybrid ceremony of ayahuasca and Changa, and they worked well together in ceremony. So we start off with ayahuasca usually, and drink a cup and set with traditional ayahuasca for about an hour and a half, and then we're introduced Changa, and then the ceremony takes another turn. And it's usually very, very deep at that point, and we change the music that we're playing.
So when you so if you're already on ayahuasca, you've already ingested the ayahuasca, because that's the stuff where, classically you throw up, you have to use the bathroom, and like a lot, like, because you're doing this purging. And so there have been some people who are like, ayahuasca, can I not experience that? And she was like, okay, like you don't have to necessarily experience it that way. You can experience purging in other ways, so there's a little bit of room with conversation with ayahuasca, depending on what you need. But what I want to know is, when you're with ayahuasca and then you take Changa, I feel like it's like you're already going a million miles, and then you just like, am I not in high gear? Oh, now I'm really in high gear. Like, it seems like that would almost overwhelm the experience. But what I'm getting is that it opens it up. Maybe it stabilizes it. It feels like it stabilizes it while opening it up to a higher plane. Is that right?
It raises the vibration, definitely, very rapidly. But with traditional, like if you just were to do DMT without any of the other plant mixture in the Changa, it would be, very immediate. With
Right.
the Changa, it's about 4 to 5 seconds of, and this is really what my prayer is into the Changa when I make it. I want it to be compassionately strong or compassionately powerful.
Mhm.
I want it to take you and just disassociate with your body completely. But I want it to be in a way where you can feel like you're part of the decision to disassociate with your body. And DMT kind of takes that decision away. It kind of just blasts you off over there. The Changa, it's and with the DMT, you come back very quickly. With the MAOI inhibitor, which is contained inside the Cappy vine, the ayahuasca vine, there's an MAOI inhibitor that allows the DMT to be broken down inside your body at a much slower rate than it would be without it. Your body inherently breaks down DMT very quickly. We actually have DMT in our body. Getting deeper into it, we have DMT stored in our body, in our lungs, in our brains, in our spinal cord, chakra system, and it gets released at any time that we have. Basically, when you go into shock, that's pretty much the point when DMT starts to get released into your body, because your body goes into an alarm system where, okay, this is starting to go into a space where it's foreign, so it releases the DMT. So the DMT that is used in ayahuasca and Changa is the same chemical component they're the same chemical component, the 4-MeO-DMT. And so that's why people often refer to the ayahuasca ceremony as the rebirth, because they disassociate with their body and then they come back in the body. And then when they come back in the body, it's a brand new thing. And because they went into a timeless space, it's a new relationship. And it's, oh my God, there's pain, there's that ache in my back that was there. And that's, I still have a human body and I still have aches and pains. I spent 10 years in the military. So, my knees and stuff like that. And when I'm in ceremony, when I start feeling my knees and stuff, I know that I'm starting to sink back, my vibration starting to lower back into my body. And got to find a way to honor those pains. they're the telltale sign that you're coming back.
Well, but I want to know, it's
a little off track with.
No, that's okay. But I want to know how Changa impacts the DMT experience. Like, what does it do? Because it seems like, why would you do both?
Accelerates.
Seems so extreme.
Well, the ayahuasca flows like this. It's because it's in liquid form, and it comes in waves, and the waves get stronger and stronger and stronger. And sometimes some people might do most do a second cup, some do a third cup. So, and they're spread out through an hour, usually an hour in between each cup, 45 minutes or so, somewhere around there. And so it's a process that, the vision in ayahuasca starts off where you start seeing flashes, and then, eventually, you might get to the point of purging, and really the purge is the point where most people have the strongest vision. So, and that's,
the Changa do?
On the Changa within 5 seconds of taking that third hit, it's a smokable form of ayahuasca. So all this is extracted and then put into a form to smoke. And, so my blend has mimosa DMT in it, Cappy vine from Ecuador, blue lotus, rose petal, lavender, and white mountain sage.
How does it impact the ayahuasca journey? How does the Changa?
It accelerates it. I don't know any other way to say it. It accelerates it. I mean, it takes you from feeling it and seeing it. Maybe if you really meditate hard with ayahuasca, we will have to lay you down. You'll be laid down and disassociate with your body, total disassociation with your body.
So
and
okay.
In a traditional ayahuasca ceremony, it may take 3 to 4 hours to get to the point of total disassociation with body. And lots of times it doesn't happen with ayahuasca. You may have a slight vision, or sometimes you might not have a vision at all. And that really depends on you being to the point of surrendering.
Right.
There's so many of us that are conditioned to ask so many questions, ask so many, and have so much expectations and everything. The ayahuasca, sometimes it takes a couple ceremonies before they can actually have a breakthrough moment where they actually connect to a spirit. If you come to a Changa if you come to a ceremony with me and we're going to do Changa, I pretty much I can put money on it that you're going to have an exceptional experience.
That's
and
exciting.
So it's for the people that have a hard time breaking through, and it's for the people that are so conditioned that, this ain't real, this, that, and the other, and but they need a healing, and they need it. The only one that is going to heal you is yourself, but you have. I have to get to the point for you to understand that, and raise your vibration to the point for your higher self to step forward and be like, oh no, Kat needs a healing, or Drew needs a healing, or whoever needs a healing. You have to get out of the way of yourself, and the Changa really helps that process along. It's been described as several different ways. People going through tunnels, people going through, sometimes people as soon as, it's three hits of the Changa, the third hit, by the time you take the third hit, you're really not even seeing what the room looks like. The third hit is really to take you over the threshold.
The rest of them
we have helpers, my wife, or sometimes we have other helpers depending on how many people we have in ceremony. And after that third hit, we're helped lay you down. And from that point, I give instructions before the ceremony, obviously, a lot of instructions, especially on breathing. In that moment, your breath is your steps. So after that third hit, I tell people, you don't have your body anymore, really. You don't see it, and you really don't feel that you're in it, but you can still feel your breath, and have your breath. The first breath is a step forward, the third, and by the third step forward, you're stepping through, whatever your perception is of the gates of heaven, or whatever, the spirit world, or whatever your perception is of that. And it's different with everybody. It could be you're going into the creation story, and the Buddhist creation story. It could be you're at the crucifixion of Jesus. It could be, you're at the beginning of creation, at the, the first spark in the darkness, and all that.
That's amazing. So I'm so excited that you're only 3 hours away from me. Linda knows that, like, the last 2 years, I've been like, I think I'm supposed to do, I feel called to ayahuasca, but also terrified because I might be a little control freaky, a little bit. And so,
just a little bit.
Just a little.
That's the pot calling the kettle black.
I love working with people with control issues. I love it.
Well, for me, like, it was, I mean, like, I can surrender and let go, but literally when I did like last summer, I did some mushrooms, and just in my own home, because I wanted to go into a healing experience, and like, like, what else do I need to heal, right? But like, it was literally because I have a really strong personality. It was my personality that got me through it, because it was so uncomfortable and so like out of my control, that it was my strong personality was the thing that kept me anchored during it, which I know it's like, that's the thing you're supposed to lose, is your personality. So even with like psilocybin, it was like, oh, we're just going to unsheath your personality, and now you're going to feel everything at once. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, Kat, but you did call me during that.
had a blanket over my head.
I was
like,
there too
Oh
for
my God.
a good hour. So
Put the
your
phone
blanket.
away.
I had to process with somebody. I was like, Linda, this is what's happening right now. So then
Yeah.
with, well, I wanted to ask also, did you, when you saw San Pedro, the spirit of San Pedro, you said she, not San Pedro, of ayahuasca, she was huge. And I feel like Changa is, so Changa is her older sassy sister. Like they're connected. Obviously they're connected. Did you see ayahuasca as the huge snake? How did you see
No,
ayahuasca?
I saw ayahuasca as huge, energetic wings, and they stretched out into eternity and for each direction, and they were made out of like silky white cloth.
Wow.
But there was also in the center of these wings, there was basically a human-sized figure that was extremely attractive, but not in a sexual way. It was like it was like a beauty that you'd never seen before, and it was, and she was dancing, twirling around in this celebration. And I was to go more depth in that interaction, the first couple moments, and with each breath I would see her, and she'd be like holding her wings out, and this small figure dancing, but she was also this large figure as well.
Oh wow.
And it was just, her wings are kind of floating, and I was just overcome with like gratitude of what I was seeing, and I was just sobbing in the spirit world. And
oh wow.
When I would do that, she would wrap all around me and pull me in, and I couldn't see it. I was seeing all types of different colors, and just being blown apart by love, like this nuclear bomb of love. And then she would like pull her wings out again, and I'd sit there, and I wasn't like communicating with her at all. And I was just like, I'd start doing it again, and she'd be like, and that happened a couple of times. And finally she goes, we could spend this whole time doing this, or you could start asking me some questions. And I was like, okay. So I like pulled out like my energetic notebook of all my questions. I was like, what did I want to know? And I asked her a question, and she's like, and she basically like slapped me with one of her wings at that point, and like woke me up. And I was like, and she's like, look, if you're gonna ask me those questions, we're only gonna get through a couple questions. We don't have much time. She's like, let's try to communicate like this. And she started downloading like everything to me, and it was just, yeah. And it was just a very quick download, and I come back in the body.
And that was with Changa? That was with Changa.
Changa, yeah.
Oh God, I love it.
I came back, and I was laying down, and I sat up, and I looked at the earth, and like I was breathing, and like the ground was, and with my breaths, the ground was still doing this, and it looked super real. Like it looked super real. And I was like, and my wife was sitting there, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I'm never gonna be the same after this. Like, it was just like, and yeah, it was just a really beautiful experience with Changa. And you know, now that everyone that we've had that sat with us with Changa has had that, maybe not that same exact experience, but equally as powerful and equally as special to them as that.
Lordy, that's so awesome. So, because I'm just anticipating, we'll talk more about, okay, I'll just say it because I've already opened the can, but like, who wants to join me in a retreat at Drew's? Like, let's make that happen. If you want to, you know, go to our Facebook group and let me know. I'm going to post it in our Facebook group too, because maybe we can get a group of us. If we could magically teleport Jillian from Canada, I know she would go in a heartbeat. Yeah, I know you go in a heartbeat, Jillian.
We
So
still got spots open for next weekend. We're doing 2 nights with ayahuasca. Just
next weekend.
FYI, if anyone's listening.
All right.
Yeah.
That's great for people to know. You've got your
we've been
link.
yeah, it's on the website.
We've got
Yeah, we're
link.
gonna try to do it outside. It's on the website. Just visit www.sacredjourneyswithin.com, and it should be right up at the front. And it should be on the banner. My wife makes the websites, and I hardly ever look at them. To tell you the truth, I don't even hardly know what it looks like at this point. But she does. Shout out to Ella. She's running some errands right now for us. So thank you, Ella, for doing that.
Well, maybe Linda can grab that from our description box and drop it. She's already nodding her head. Linda's going to do that so people can find that. That's awesome. And then tell us about San Pedro, because San Pedro was the thing I've also been really drawn to do, because my understanding of San Pedro is that it is the masculine. And so you take it during the day as opposed to ayahuasca, which is at night, the feminine, the dark, the receptive. So San Pedro is during the day, and it is not as hallucinatory. That's not a word, but you get what I'm saying. But I want you to correct me about what San Pedro is about, because I wanted to do that first, because my understanding was there's a lot of love, and it's less of a, it can be less of like a like ayahuasca is like shaking you up and turning you upside down, and like shaking all the shit out of your pockets, so like you'll stop, you'll let go of your stuff. And San Pedro is a little bit more like engaging and a little less abrasive. Again, not having done it, this is my understanding. So I was like, let's do San Pedro, so that way when I come to ayahuasca, she's not having to like smack me across the room to get me to do what I need to do. But you tell us about San Pedro, or give
the Huachuma, and to start off, right. Huachuma, San Pedro. Huachuma is a traditional name for it. San Pedro is the younger name for it. It was given to that nickname was given to it by during the Spanish Inquisition. Actually, what happened down there, there's some Spanish priest that was on the ships, and when they found South America, they found Huachuma shamans, and they started to speak to them and their understanding of spirituality. So and this is in the beginning of the Spanish Inquisition, before shit got hairy. But the shamans invited them into ceremony, and in the ceremony, these priests, what they perceived as the gates of St. Peter. So they met St. Peter, and so they named it St. Peter, San Pedro. So that's where that comes from. The Huachuma actually translates into head off. So the medicine, the plant, it allows you to walk without your ego, and it's done anytime, day or night, really. But it's done very effectively during daylight in the sun, because it really it connects you to the sun and allows you to feel the sun and absorb the sun in a much more pure way, I guess, in closer to the way that we're supposed to ingest it. We have so much that coverings and layers that are in between us and the sun, with, lotions and conditioners and all these different chemicals that we unknowingly put on ourselves and put these layers on, so we don't feel it in that way, and also our consciousness. So, but it allows you to basically walk without your ego and see those. It allows you to see the signs that are around us all the time. So we do it on. I prefer to do it in nature, and with ceremony with me, normally with San Pedro, looks like when the sun comes up, we have a small fire, we say a prayer, and we ingest the medicine, and then we start hiking, and we're hike in the mountains for hour or so in between rounds, and we'll find a spot that looks comfortable or looks inviting, and we're set there, set up the altar again, start the medicine again, share songs, give a chance for people to share in the group, and then stay in that spot for, 45 minutes to however time the calls for everybody to be comfortable to move forward again. And they would continue that process throughout the day, and drink the medicine, however times is necessary for everybody to have their experience. But what I like to do, and what I've been taught to do, like before my Huachuma ceremonies, I'll ask everybody in the group, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What are we going to find today? And I've had some really amazing experiences doing this exercise. So people will say like, they find a feather, or they find a shell, or they find a stone or a crystal, or antler shed, or something, or a bone, or something like that on the hike. And just the first thing that comes to mind. And during the hike, everybody finds what they've said. And in that moment, they realize the connection between their mind and the physical that they're seeing here, and everything is connected like that. And I shared a story one time in Ohio. We was doing a retreat, and we had like 7 people with us or so, and every one of them said different things. And one of them said like, we were in Ohio, right? Like in the middle of Ohio in the forest. And this person said like a seashell, like, oh, I don't know if we're going to find a seashell at the middle. We did find that seashell, like on our hike. It was there.
Wow.
And, but when we got around, I asked everybody, and I was like, okay, let's go. And they're like, no, Drew, like you got to do it too. I was like, hard to be put on the spot, I guess. I'm not used to that. I'm used to be the one putting people on the spot. And I was like, oh, antler shed, and like a deer antler shed. And everybody found their thing, and we started walking back. And my ceremony, especially when I walk, I tell them, I keep reiterating throughout the day all the time, is like, this is a group ceremony. This is everybody. I'm not in charge here. I have a relationship with these spirits, but there's hierarchy here or anything like that. If people has an idea about where we should go or what we should do, bring it up. And we can all agree on it, But one of the people said, hey, let's go across this bridge here and cross this lake. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Like, we already took this trail that we were going to go back to this cabin. We were doing like a 3-day retreat. And we crossed this bridge, and right on the other side of the bridge, there was a 6-point buck there that has antlers, just died like a couple days before. And like 3 people dropped to the ground, started crying. One person grabbed my feet, went trying to ask me who I was. And I'm like, I'm just a mirror, like here to show you what you are as well, but that's in a nutshell, that's the best way I could describe San Pedro. It allows you to see miracles that are happening all the time in front of your face, and you don't see them because you're late for a meeting, or someone cut you off, or
you're just in your head for whatever reason.
Yeah, whatever. And that's, me and my wife were talking last night, and I always ask her, like, I was like, babe, what do you think? Is there anything that you think I should say tomorrow? Like, for this next, whatever the next interview is, or whatever I'm doing. And she's like, well, you've been talking about being in the moment a lot lately, and the being in the moment is the most powerful medicine that we can do in this time. And the San Pedro makes you be in the moment. It doesn't really allow you to think anything else but the hike and the people in front of you, the trees and the animals and the songs that you're hearing being played or whatever. It allows you to be in the moment. So we all have this chi, we all have this connection to source, and we all have source energy going through us. And that's consciousness. And that consciousness can be in the moment, or that consciousness can be in the past or the future, which the future is, there's so many variables of the future. We really don't need to be spending a lot of time on that, and just be in the moment. The past, all of us, every single one of us has a million reasons, a million different memories from the past that we can choose to go there. And the real medicine right now is not the sun, it's not ayahuasca, it's not San Pedro, it is yourself being in the moment. And that's a process that I'm going through right now, of trying to be more in the moment and trying to use my manifestation energy and my positive energy to affect my life in this moment and every movement moving forward.
That's
So,
beautiful. And
I
I
don't know
love
where all
that.
that come from.
No, that was great.
Sorry.
You basically, that was spot on, talking about what the gifts of San Pedro, which is something that we can practice day to day anyway, which is just slowing down and being present to the moment. Linda, I wanted to toss the mic over to you and let you hit up Drew with any questions or any questions from the audience. I'm going to hop away for one quick moment. While you do that, I'll be right back.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Drew. I really appreciate you explaining the differences between them. And I am definitely a control freak. So when you say you love to have control freaks, why is that? And what do you do with them that's any different than non-control freaks?
Well, really, everybody is in some way, form, or fashion a control freak. So it's when they come, the control is holding you back from who you really are, and it's your physical self of thinking that you need to have control, and that's something we've been taught, and we learn over time. The reason I say I love having control freaks is because the medicine is going to help you with that. It may not do it all at once, but it's going to help you. And at the end of the ceremony, you're going to feel so much lighter, and you're going to be able to experience life in such a different way, because you're worrying about things that you honestly don't have any control over. And that's really the basis behind it. I love seeing the transformation and the release of that, of who you really are.
Mm-hmm. I understand, like, at the core level, that I'm really not in control. That
Yeah.
having the control of my body or my psyche is like, I just don't feel comfortable not having that. And so, although I'll have a glass of wine, and I'm sure after 2 or 3 glasses of wine, I definitely have some impairment of who I am in my faculties. So I guess that's a bit hypocritical. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of us that are, and also I hate to throw up. So, like, is there an option where you don't throw up?
Well, it's just your perception of it, and it's not throwing up. Think about it more purging energy that doesn't serve you, and then it's something different. Throwing up has such a stigmatism to it, because in our society we don't think that should be part of our process. But down South America, like, throwing up is a time when people are like celebrating, like, oh yeah, you're releasing something, like, and especially in the ceremonies, like when we hear people start to purge in ceremony, it's like, shoo, like this is what they come for. Like, this is yeah.
Way to vomit, you guys.
But the Changa, let it rip. The Changa makes it a little easier for sure, but there's oftentimes there's an energetic purge that's in the Changa, where people will still feel like they're purging, and after they come back and after the ceremony is over, they're looking to their bucket and there'd be nothing in the bucket, but they could, and this happened to me before for sure, where you see energy come out of you, but there's no physical matter that actually comes out of you.
I've actually had that happen without help. But yeah, where I've had that sensation.
Yeah.
Energetically purged.
Yeah, energetically purging. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's just I was the same way, and these are common things, like with ayahuasca ceremonies. These are common questions about the puking. I can tell you wholeheartedly, by the time you get to the point of purging an ayahuasca ceremony, you ain't gonna be worrying about puking at all. You're like, it's not something where you're gonna be like, oh, I don't want to throw up. You're gonna be like, ugh, and like let it go. And the more that you understand that you have the right to either throw up a bunch of water, or you have the right to throw up a trauma that you might have incurred as a child and use that time of purging as alchemy, and really jumping forward kind of a bit. My next book that's be published pretty soon, about finished, Find Your Inner Guru, will be explaining a lot more about alchemy and how we can use these non government oversighted substances of alchemy to change our lives, that they can't control and they have no say over.
Right. Yeah. It's go ahead, Linda. Sorry.
Oh, I do have one other question. I know in some of the shows I've watched on this that there's usually several days or weeks or months of special diet to help in
Correct.
this process. Is
Correct.
that something that you have people do before they come to you?
Yes, at the minimum, we ask for a week of a diet. Ideally, be over 2 weeks, and the longer that you're on the diet, the better. And really, if you go by our diet restrictions, you will have an easier time in the ceremony. You'll have an easier time surrendering, because a lot of the things that we eat and that are in the normal 4 food groups and what we've been taught for so long of what we're supposed to eat are actually designed to stop the understanding that we facilitate here, and we really strive to let people see in our facility. So when we stop eating dairy, we don't have a 4-chamber stomach. Why would we eat dairy? Why would we drink milk that a baby that has a 4-chamber stomach that's supposed to go to 1,000 pounds? Why would we drink that? It makes no sense. The dairy is a big thing that blocks it. Alcohol is a big thing that blocks it. Alcohol vibrates. Everything is frequency vibration. Nikola Tesla had it 100% correct when he said it. So alcohol vibrates at a lower vibration than the human manifestation. Ayahuasca, Changa, all these master plant medicines, which they're referred to, they vibrate as a vibration higher than the human manifestation. That's why they allow us to see these things. That's why we get depressed and down when alcohol starts becoming a normal part of our life, and not just every now and then thing. It starts to actually decrease our vibration, and we start vibrating lower than what we actually should be vibrating at. The goal is to vibrate higher than what we are, and keep vibrating higher and higher.
Absolutely.
So what else?
I hope that answered. Just red meats. We like to stay away from red meats. Fish, chicken. If you have to have meat, ideally, plant-based diet leading up to the ceremony is the best, because ultimately you're ingesting codes during that time, especially when you don't have any interference from eating an animal that's dead. And really, if you look at the food table, or the line, the relay line that comes from the sun, it goes to the, it goes through the air, it goes to the plants, and then the animals eat the plants, and we eat the animals. We're eating a washed down version of that energy that is coming from our physical manifestation of source, which is the sun. So all energy comes from that. All energy that any plant or animal has that we ingest all comes from it. That's why if you think you might have COVID or you might have a cold, go out in the sun, drink water, and that's the most purest forms of medicine that you can ingest. And that's before anything else is mixed in with the water. They, Native Americans talk about, sorry, I'm getting a little off track. I will get to the full diet. But Native Americans talk about how the water is the first medicine. And if you think about it, all the San Pedro, the ayahuasca, everything, the main component is water. The main component in yourself is water. So there's really no difference between you and the medicine and all that. Coffee is a big thing that we ask people to cut out on.
Damn.
And I just saw you take a deep breath. It's and none of these are written in stone. It's all your personal choice. The only things that are written in stone is basically prescription medications. If you are on a prescription medication, we have to know about it. My wife is an LPN nurse. She has years experience as LPN. So she does do medical checkups before you come. And if there's something that will bar you from doing ceremony for us for your safety or ours, we will not allow you in ceremony. But that's only happened one time. And SSRIs, mood stabilizers are a huge red flag for us that you have to wean off and actually be off of it for at least 2 weeks before coming to ceremony with us. People with history of schizophrenia, I can help you, but not with ayahuasca. I can help you in other ways, but not with ayahuasca. And we actually have some clients that we're working with now that fall under that category. So,
and that's going to be all in the intake form, where people would need to put that in what they have, so that way you guys know that in advance and you know what you're dealing with. I want to make sure. Hey, Jillian, did you have questions that you wanted to? I'll make sure your voice got heard here.
Well, there's just one thing that kind of sticks out. Like, I wonder if my brain releases DMT when I meditate, because in 2017 I had a Kundalini awakening. It was really intense, and after it happened, I was opened up to the spirit world and to ETs and just a lot of stuff. And I started to meditate, and for about 1.5 years of doing it almost every day, 90% of the time I was having visuals. So with my eyes closed, instead of the blackness behind my eyes, I was seeing spirits, I was seeing ETs, places I'd never seen before. I had gone out of body definitely once during those experiences, and I saw a craft up when I left my body. And I don't know, over the past few years, I thought maybe it's DMT that it's releasing that's causing these experiences, but I just wanted to see if you had any intake on that.
Yeah, it's definitely, you can definitely, release DMT naturally, definitely through breath work, meditation. The deeper you go into meditation, the closer you can get to that natural DMT release. And did you see pyramids or anything, any Egyptian stuff?
I've seen a lot of stuff. Like it was 1.5 years of this happening every day, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I would do I don't know, typically the meditations would be 1 hour to 1.5 hours. And I've seen pyramids, I've seen triangular structures that didn't seem to be here. Like they seem to be on other planets as well. Like I've seen, my God, I've seen a ton of things. I've seen ETs, I had one experience where I started to realize that it was actually something physically going on, because I was meditating and I saw this ET looking being pop up, and it had, the teardrop shaped head and the eyes and everything. And I could see all the creases and crevices in his face. He looked really old. But when it popped up in front of me, it looked like I freaked him out. This being went like this, and then he was going like this, trying to see both sides of my face, trying to scope me out. So that's when that happened, I started to realize, okay, something's happening in real time. Like, it's not just images that are being produced like from my brain and coming in and I'm seeing them that way. Like, there's some kind of communication going on in real time. And yeah.
Well, actually, both of those statements are true.
Okay.
Both of your last statements are true. It's coming from your mind, and it is actually happening, because I subscribe to one consciousness, like we're all one consciousness. So when you're going in this, I do the same thing. I talk about spirits, I talk about ayahuasca, because I still have to operate in this system. But ultimately, when you're in that space, that's you from another dimensional space basically looking through a window. You're looking through a window at each other. And that's actually happening, but you're manifesting that to happen. Your physical self now is manifesting. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. Jillian is manifesting that situation right now, so she can have a massive paradigm shift, so she can move forward with what she's supposed to be doing. So anytime you see a ship, anytime you have an experience with a spirit, it's another particle of yourself. And you are doing it to basically have, in a nutshell, to have a paradigm shift. And that it has to be something pretty substantial to shift your mind, and I'm assuming maybe like when you're a kid, you watch like maybe sci-fi movies and stuff like that. So
I wasn't into any of this stuff until I had that Kundalini. No, I was into the paranormal for about a decade. Like, I was really into investigations and that kind of thing, but I had no like connection or association to any sort of,
But your investigation into it, you got to a point in your investigation really didn't see anything of substantial proof for you. So your mind like moved forward with that and be like, okay, what are we gonna do? And it come together and made this moment happen that really shifted your perception of how things are. And I'm assuming that there's nothing that could ever change that.
No, like this stuff. I mean, that year and a half that I was having those experiences, well, I changed anyways with the Kundalini. Like, once that happened, it was a complete 180. I wasn't the same person at all. But just having those experiences and the meditations, like, it would take me, I mean, by the time that I was able to process like a major visual, I had already had like 3 or 4 nights of doing it again. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just all this processing time and just all of that in this big shaker. It changed me quite a bit. And my perception of everything, my perception of reality. Yeah.
We just have to, I've had to remind myself several times, okay, we are still one. Like, this person that just cut me off in traffic. Okay, this is trying to teach me patience, and this is, and the hard things, in March 15th, at the beginning of the year, my nephew, 28 years old, took his own life, and he lived an hour and a half away from me. And my sister called me from Georgia, and she's like, you need to get over to, your nephew's house. He took the cops just called me. She was hysterical. In times like that, you have to, was a big test of my spiritual path. And I realized it right away, because there was just some lessons in it that were just really apparent once I took a step back, took a breath, and stepped back from Drew and stepped back at the whole thing and looked and seen what was happening. Then I was really able to start seeing the beautiful moments that came from the chaos, and not saying that losing my nephew was in any way beautiful, but there was beautiful lessons in that experience, and we have to find that in every moment, because these medicines, they're one of their main messages when they come through, they tell you, time is illusions. They show you that, no doubt. They also show you that everything is in divine timing, always has been, always will be, And it's like, that is just the way the universe is in the truth of it all. So we have to when we're in physical form and we go through something like losing a loved one, especially to suicide, we have to question, we have to remember that. And we have to remember, okay, like there's laws also in place that we go through incarnation. One of them's free will. Blake had free will to do with his life and what he wanted to do. And we have to honor that and move forward and still love him, but not in a way of loving his physical form. We can love his heart and essentially his consciousness. So we have to move. The truth of everything is, and the book, I'm Perfect and So Are You. Most of it's a channeling, and it's saying that everything is perfection. Our perception is the only thing that is different from what's really going on. I talk about how through my process, I've been blessed to be in the presence of some very influential spiritual people. And one thing I started noticing, there was a smile on these people's faces that I didn't understand how they had this smile until I really understand oneness and understand when I become finally Jesus. And then when I figured out I wasn't Jesus, that was just a part of who I am now. And the oneness consciousness, then now I understand why I have that little smirk on my face all the time, because it's just kind of a game at this point, and it's always been a game, but now I just know I know the rules, and I know how the game works, and that's where the smile comes from, these yogis and and all these other spiritual teachers throughout history that walk around with this crazy ass smile on their face, and you have no idea why, because they know that it's just a blink of an eye in the whole construction of what is going on.
Oh, definitely. I subscribe to that too, because I had I try to look at every situation stepping back and seeing it as an observer, like seeing the way that everything ties in together and this and that. And I actually had my boyfriend, my partner, passed away in March 2019 on the 18th. And when that happened, even while it was going on, I was set in such a place where I could still do that. Like I could still take a step back and kind of see what's going on in every angle, as opposed to just being immersed right in it. And I'm very happy that I was in, that kind of state to be able to do that at the time, because like you said, I see everything right now as a game. Like I see this life as a game. I see everything as a game. And that's been a few years. And it's just, I understand too that, I'm guided and I'm protected. And if I just follow my own flow, it's not going to lead me astray. It might put me in some mucky water, but that's for my own awakening. That's for my own good and my lessons to come up and be able to, go in my face and figure that stuff out. So I love what you said. That was an awesome answer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, on this topic of ETs, because we talk about ETs a lot, and Jillian's a little bit of an ET ambassador on our show because she has so many easy connections. In your bio, you said that you have several ET contacts, and we talk about one of them in our pre-show, where you're seeing the universe through this other being's eyes, and then you found later on you had a dream where you encountered the same scenario but from the eyes of the being who was seeing you. But that was one encounter. You in your bio you say you had several encounters. Would you tell us about any of those that stand out the most for you as being most significant? Who were the beings? Where did they come from? Why did they contact you?
A really cool one was a ship encounter that me and my wife had by in Indian Wells, California, a few years ago. We were at Contact in the Desert, and we were doing some videos, and I was doing some interviews there. It's a UFO conference that happens yearly. So it's like a 4-day 4-day thing. So we had a B&B that was outside the city, and we were there. We come back after the conference, and it was like on the third night of the conference or so. And this is like, it was like a cabin way out in the middle of nowhere. And we were sitting in some patio chairs, smoking a joint. And I was talking about the conference and everything. And the wind was blowing just a little bit. And we were on top of a hill, and off in a distance, it's about a half hour away, but you could see where the city and where the conference was and everything in Indian Wells. And all of a sudden I heard like this movement beside me, and it was up in the sky, and the wind had stopped blowing. Like it was just silence. It was just like this really eerie silence, but you could hear this whoosh of something going by us, and you couldn't really see anything. But we were watching over at the conference, and I was telling my wife, I was like, holy shit, babe, look over there at the conference. There's a ship that's appearing by the conference, and just a couple little lights blinking. I was like, oh, there's more than one of them. And then I saw it make lights in this line that it was about 10 miles across. And then the ship appeared like, it was this huge, it was the biggest ship I've ever seen, like from my memory of seeing a ship, especially in this lifetime. But it was over top of the, happened over top of the conference. And that night at the conference, they were, who was that? Not Emery Smith was doing a C5 there. Oh, and there was like there was 1,000 people out there doing a C5, and at the conference the next day, everybody was talking about it. I didn't know about it. I would have been there, but I'm glad that got to see this ship from where I was at. They said there was over 100 people that saw the underside of this ship, and saw small drones come out of it and fly around the top of the people doing the C5. And there's some video of it somewhere. If you guys look up Cosmic Disclosure at Indian Wells, C5 with Emery Smith, you could probably, I don't know if it's out. I know that a couple people, I'm assuming there's some YouTube videos out of it. But that was an amazing one. Had daytime ship had a lot of ship encounters. Let's see, ground contact. Oh, this is a good one. I have my brother-in-law, Chris, out from Ohio, out a year or so ago. He was out and stayed with us for a week and just a week or two and just visiting. And we were sitting outside, and he's like, hey, you talk about these ships all the time. Why don't you show me a ship? And I was like, I don't like to be put on the spot by that. I was like, but I'll try it out. And so I was like, let's take some mushrooms and work with some mushrooms and see if this helps out. Like, there's actually a lot of truth into helping out with C5 events, and with using smaller amounts of like psilocybin works really good with ETs for some reason. But we did like a gram or like a half a gram each, wasn't even that much. And I started playing some music, and live out in the desert, and it's really quiet out here. And I stopped playing music, and my brother-in-law Chris, he's like tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, I hear something moving around us. He's like, I hear footsteps. And I was listening. I could hear like footsteps in the sand around us, but I couldn't see anything. And the moon was out, like, so it wasn't like completely dark, but still couldn't see anything. And the neighbor that lives, at that time we lived in Crestone, and the neighbor that lived, 1,000 yards from our house, his security lights go on. He goes running out. He's like, he heard someone walk around outside of his house, and the security lights turned on. But my brother-in-law, he's like, 95% blind in his left eye or right eye. But he's like, holy shit. He's like, I can see out of my eye right now. And he was like covering up his eye. He ran inside, and like, he was reading stuff, and I was holding like books across the room, and he was reading them and all kinds of stuff. And so he had like he had a spontaneous healing with his sight, and
Whoa! Did it stay after the
not the next day. His mind
Put it back in?
put it back on, and
Yeah.
so it had to be, you know, that tells me just from my experience that that's something that he has to, for some reason, that's something that he's going to have to face one day for whatever reason. It's a trauma that's put on his eye, and it could be from a past life or whatever. But
Well, it also to me speaks to this whole thing about like when you're in a dimension, that healing and that experience lives in that dimension. Like there have been people who've gone into this altered states through whatever DMT channel, experience the healing, but that healing lives in that frequency. And when they come back to this frequency, the healing is not integrated because it's like you went to another place and experienced it versus
right.
it being something that was integrated into your body, which is, if you want to integrate it into your body, that's probably going to be a different or longer or maybe a more intense journey, depending on what your.
Well, it can happen. It can happen from a spontaneous healing, you know, without medicine or anything. And it's really, we have to take down boundaries. We have to take down all these imaginary boundaries on this earth. And we have to take all these imaginary boundaries in our minds that say, and that I would venture to say that those people that have those healings in the spirit world and they don't transfer over here, they are not fully accepting that this is actually happening because it doesn't cross the boundary that they have in their consciousness. Because there, for me, there is no separation. So if I'm going through something like when my nephew, when after a couple weeks after my nephew took his life, I come back home and I was like, we had a retreat coming up like in a week. I told my wife, I was like, there's no way I can have this retreat right now. I have to go out and I have to like set myself right. You know, I gotta go there. I gotta talk to Blake. I gotta have one last word with him. So I cut a big peyote button and I went and sat in the middle of the desert in one of the caves that I have as my personal spot that I go and do ceremony for myself. So I went in and set the wires that were crossed up and drew and set them back, not right, but it set them back enough to where I could continue what I'm doing and still continuing the grieving process, which I'm still in obviously now, but and honor that in a spiritual way, and honor in a physical way and a spiritual way, because it's all going on right now, but there is no separation. And that's you know, fuck it, I'm just gonna say it. The eagle, when it come to me, it was my connection between the eagle come to me in a dream. It come to me in an ayahuasca ceremony 4 months later, and then it manifests. And within 9 days, within 6 days of the ayahuasca ceremony, it told me an eagle was gonna manifest in my life, and it was gonna show me that the dream world, the ceremony, and the physical world there was no separation between the three, and it was going to be my physical proof for it. And it said it was going to happen before my birthday. So the ayahuasca ceremony was April 2nd or 3rd. My birthday is April 11th. The eagle appeared in the same way that I had the vision in the very first dream I had. When it appeared in the dream, it appeared in that way in the physical on a dirt road. The sun was setting at the end of the dirt road. The whole scene was exactly how it was in the dream. I got to share that dream with about 5 to 6 people, and I got to share the ayahuasca ceremony vision with about 5 to 6 people before the eagle manifested. So when it did manifest, you know, it was the people that I shared it with, they knew that if that vision did come true, that it really meant something very serious for my life. And I knew when I found the eagle that my life would never be the same. I could never question the spirit. I could never say, oh, that was just that was a hallucination from a drug. That small question in the back of my mind was completely blown away. And that allows me to really do the work that I do now, because there is no question of the connection between the three.
Nice. Well, and there's a whole thing, because we're running out of time. We've got 30 minutes left. And so it's like, because we could talk about, let's talk about, we'll have to have you back on the show, Drew.
I want to do something real quick. I want to do something real quick. Who has a pendulum? Does anyone have a pendulum?
The angel, Lady Linda has a pendulum.
Awesome.
Oh boy, do I have pendulums? Yes.
Can we do it? Can we do an exercise that we can see the pendulum?
Sure. Do you want me to put all of us on so you can see me at the same time?
Let's just do you.
Okay.
Let's just do the
talk through it, because if you talk, it's going to switch to you. So,
oh, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we can put all of us on, so it can be seen.
Fair warning. We're all going.
Fair warning. Stop picking your nose, Jillian. No, joking.
All right. So I have to move my camera down a little bit to be able to show it.
Okay, so what I like you to do, if you have some sage or something like that, maybe you got a glass of water close.
Glass of water or sage, your choice.
Okay, either or, it doesn't matter. Glass of water or sage would be fine.
Okay. I'm pouring more water because I drank it all. Yes, my wine glass is always filled with water. Oh, almost always.
I do this exercise. I have some clients in Australia I do this exercise with, and it's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I could do this and show you, but if someone else is doing it,
okay.
So at first, what I like you to do, I like to just make sure that you have a connection with the pendulum and it's doing what it normally does.
Mm-hmm. I'm doing my check-in now.
She's got a whole system, so we got to give her.
Okay,
time.
We're good.
Okay.
I've got yes and no's.
Great.
Okay. So can you hold the pendulum over the water?
It is now over water. You can't see it, but it is.
Okay. And just hold it still and let the energy come from the water and let it show itself.
In my world, that's a yes.
Okay, so that's energy coming from the water. Now I'd like you to move the water out of the way and grab a pen or a pencil, something, just an object on your table that is just in use. Okay, a pen. So hold the pendulum over the pen. So the pen is just a piece of plastic. The water holds source energy. So when you see the pendulum moving like over water, it's simply showing you the energy, the kundalini that is coming from source at all moments. But this pen in particular, it's special because it helps Linda with her work, helps her move forward with her message, and helps move forward with, and it's helping us right now in this demonstration. So therefore the pen is sacred and there's source energy moving through that pen at this time.
And are you telling that because it's not moving? Because it's completely still?
Well, do you believe that pen is part of your sacred work? What does that pen do for you?
It is helping with my expression, with my writing.
With your writing, it helps you express your thoughts and put them on paper so others can read them. So it's sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Is it moving any now?
No, it is still. Yeah, it is not moving.
Do you have a lighter?
Also, I feel the pen is more neutral because I use it for all writing, not just special writing.
Do you have a lighter close to you?
It's neutral.
Do you have a lighter close to you?
Yes.
Can you pull out the lighter for a second? Okay.
I'm like
The
one of those
lighter.
little ladies that has everything.
All right. Can you hold it over the lighter for a second?
Lit or not lit?
No, not lit. Not lit. Just a piece of plastic, just an object that performs something.
Yep,
But in
no
all
movement.
actuality, it lights sage. It holds the central fire from the central sun. It actually holds that energy in there and allows us to light the fires and light our sage. I'm assuming you use it to light your sage.
I do. Now, if I put the light, if I put the fire,
It starts to move.
it starts to move.
Yeah. Well, this exercise is meant to show really a prayer is a recognition of something, and we can put whatever name. It can be a samada, it can be a prayer, it can be whatever. Really, in its most basic form, is just a recognition of something. So normally, what, of course, this exercise doesn't work in this moment, but in a normal situation, hold on. I'll be right back.
So for me, I often use it when I'm listening to people in the background because it helps me identify alignment.
So for me, there's no questions. There's just energy that comes off me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really do the yes, no. It's just, I know if the pendulum's not moving, there's something wrong with me. And the other hand, so that's another interesting, people that mess with pendulums, lots of times if they check their energies in their hands, their left hands will be, clockwise, their other hand will be counterclockwise. That's how it was for me for many years, until I really stepped into the oneness consciousness, and now both my hands are clockwise, which is the spinning of the earth, or that's the reason why the rotation of the earth happened the way they do, actually. But so this lighter, it lights sage, it lights tobacco, it lights changa, or it's just a fucking piece of plastic. So my exercise, like, if it was working perfectly in this moment, it would have shown that our words are very powerful. We actually each and every one of us are walking gods. Our words are actually expressions coming from source, whether we know it or not. They're super powerful. So the more that you know, and that's the more you can use it to affect your life and change your life, really.
So for those of you that know me, this is a double C confirmation. When the pendulum goes in a yes, all the way to hitting me in the chest, it's a double C confirmation.
So we have like 20 more minutes with you, and I want to make sure people kind of thank you so much for doing that with us, Linda.
I'll put it back.
Thank you, sister. I wanted you to talk to people about your Sasquatch and ET experience, and I know we only have 20 minutes left, so maybe talk about your Sasquatch experience, since we have a lot of Sasquatch fans as well, in terms of where you encountered Sasquatch. So
Sasquatch, for me, is undeniably a fifth dimensional or extra dimensional being. It appeared in a building, in a ceremony, a non-medicine ceremony, I shouldn't say non-medicine, a non-plant medicine ceremony. There's definitely medicine in there, but it appeared in a room that was closed, all windows and doors locked shut. It manifested and demanifested inside the room during the ceremony. So it happened to me in a Uwipi ceremony. Uwipi, WIPI, I think, something like that. Uwipi ceremony. You guys can also look up Black Elk. Black Elk Speaks. Wallace Black Elk. that family lineage of the Black Elk family, Lakota medicine people, are well known for their Uwhippie ceremonies. Uwhippie ceremonies are very intense ceremonies. They go all the way back to the Neanderthal. They found proof that Neanderthals were doing this ceremony. And essentially it's a seance, but this is a Native American Uwhippie ceremony, AKA seance, that I was in. And it's 28 songs. So during this, I went through this process of understanding that the spirits and that were in the room could telepathically connect to me and read my thoughts. They were interacting with thoughts that I were having, what thoughts that I was having. At one time I was like, man, it was real hot in the room. I was starting to sweat. And they kind of dematerialized the walls so a breeze could flow through the room. And as soon as I cooled down, the walls kind of rematerialized in a way. But I at this point, towards the end of it, there's 28 songs that you sing. It lasts about an hour and a half or so, the whole ceremony. And getting towards the end of the ceremony, I definitely knew I was in communication with what was in the room. And I knew that there was something really supernatural happening in the room. It was raining. There was a lightning storm in a closed room.
So were you seeing this?
Raining.
It was physically raining. You were experiencing water hitting your face inside of a closed room. Is that right?
Yes, for sure. Coming from the ceiling. Yeah, wow. Coming from the ceiling. Yeah.
That's nutty. I've never heard something like that before. I've heard a lot.
Yeah. If you ever have a chance to go to a Uwhippie, if you've had a chance to go to a Uwhippie ceremony, go to one. But so I was basically asking at this point towards the end of the ceremony for one of these spirits to show themselves to me. And I could go on and on. I could do a whole episode just on the that one Uwhippie ceremony alone. But I asked one of these spirits to show themselves to me and to prove it in a visual way, telepathically. And as soon as this thought crossed my mind, this rattle lifted off the ground. It started sparking in the air, and sparks were coming out of it, like electrical sparks. And it was coming across the room to me. And as it got closer, I could hear this deep animal breathing. I could smell like a very musty odor that was coming towards me. And man, I could just feel an energy that was coming to me as well. I guess my mind was starting to process that there was some type of animal in the room that wasn't there when the lights got shut off. Now there was a large animal and it was walking towards me. And I guess I just realized of what it was. In that moment, I was just getting ready for it. I had the drum in my hand. I was still singing Lakota, and the medicine man, before the ceremony started, he said, if anything starts getting closer, you start getting scared, just sing harder, play the drum harder. And that's really the only thing that you can do. I just kind of have to release and surrender to what's going to happen. And this spark just kept getting closer to me. The rattling kept getting closer to me. I could hear it breathing closer. And when it got within me, it stopped, and through the rattle landed at the wall beside my head. I was just kind of frozen. When it threw the rattle, this light kind of sparked, and time kind of stopped, and I just saw a large Bigfoot. The head was all the way up to the ceiling, a large furry being, very smelly, very loud breathing. And we were just looking at each other for a few seconds, and then time started to roll at regular speed again, and the room went dark, and that was pretty much the ceremony ended really shortly after that. And just realizing I saw a Bigfoot, I told the medicine man. He's like, well, yeah, that's it's pretty common for people to see that, and little people and fairies in the Uwhippie ceremony.
Wow.
And I ask him what they are, and he's like, "Oh, they're really fifth dimensional beings that really don't have form. They have form in another dimension, and they can really they can shift with or without form into this dimension. They can really play with reality a lot in this reality that we're in right now."
Yeah, and I would say, just from what I know about Sasquatch, because we have bunches of Sasquatch people that we're connected with, is that they're both. Like, there's some that are fifth dimensional, and who are operating on that level. There's others that are very physical, and there's some that can go back and forth. It's just because they are inherently advanced beings. They never unplugged from the God source. And then tell us about the dream you had from the Sasquatch's perspective.
Well, I was in a space I didn't recognize a lot of colors.
This is a dream. Listen about the dream, right? So you're going into a dream.
This is a dream maybe a week or so after the Uwipi ceremony. Definitely it was probably about 3 days where I really didn't speak after the Uwipi ceremony. I was really, my paradigm that I've never really experienced anything to that extent. In this, at this point, I've done a lot of ceremonies, but in going to the spirit world, but I've never had the spirit world. I've never seen the spirit world in the physical like that. So it was a lot for me. And, the conversation between my wife was very minimal for a couple of days. And whatever conversation it was like, I'm about to have to check myself into somewhere, or, I gotta grasp this. And, calm down. And a week or so later, just spontaneously had a dream where I was in this space. I started looking around, and there was plants and colors and tons of things I really wasn't recognizing. And I knew I was in some type of other dimension, really. And I really didn't realize I was having the experience of the Sasquatch until I was in the room and really saw myself. And that's when it really hit me. Because I couldn't really see my body when in this dream. I was just, seeing out the portholes like we are now. Unless you look in a mirror or see myself in a camera, I really don't get to see what Drew looks like very often. Everybody else does. But so it's kind of the same way, and really had the experience from the other viewpoint of the Sasquatch. Found myself in the room, walking across the room, having this rattle, sparks flying, and then finally walking up and seeing Drew sitting there drumming frantically and scared as shit. And I really understood the idea of multidimensionality and bilocation and all those things that people talk about, but really don't have. It's hard to experience them or really grasp until you really experience it yourself.
Because you just to be clear, you were seeing Drew from the eyes of the Sasquatch. Like, the dream was allowing you to see Drew from the eyes of the Sasquatch, which gave you a sense of like, oh, I am also the Sasquatch. Like, whatever I am is many things, and it's hence multidimensional. And so it was like as part of your soul reconnecting to you as Drew. Would you say that's accurate?
Accurate. Yeah, I wouldn't say reconnecting. It was more just reminding you, reminding Drew, like, in this life, you are not going to be able to be, a coal miner and just, go and watch and drink 2 beers every night and watch the news. You're not going to be able to live that life. You have to live a life where you understand something that is not visible. You're gonna have to understand that. And that's really the lessons of having shared, and come to find out these are pretty common experiences for people to have a bilocation experience, for them to understand that they are bilocated. And that's the easiest way to understand how it works. And there's no, it just kind of happens spontaneously when it's supposed to happen, when these understandings. And I talk about in the book, had a similar experience with ET near Chaco Canyon. Had
Talk about it.
face to
Tell
face.
us about the ET with Chaco Canyon. We got 9 minutes left.
All right, we did. It was me and my wife's anniversary in 2018, February 2018, maybe 17. Ella, don't kill me. But we were at Chaco Canyon, and we went there for our anniversary. Did a hike through Chaco Canyon. I took my drum. I sung a few prayer songs in the valley at the end of our hike, just kind of praying to the ancestors there and thanking them for the property, and that night we had a Airbnb. We were staying about an hour away in Cortez, Colorado, and we were in the B&B in the middle of the night. I woke up about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning or so, which hashtag I'm guessing a lot of people are waking up around this time. A lot of listeners waking up in the early morning hours, not knowing what's going on. It's probably a message for you, so pay attention. Anyways, woke up in the middle of the night, went outside, really having I knew something was in the area from the energy that was going through me. Something was around. But I went outside to have some tobacco just to calm down. I just really want to go back to sleep. And walked outside, lit my tobacco, and started having this vibration from the center of my chest. And it was just emitting out, like every heartbeat was just like vibrating higher and higher with every heartbeat. And every heartbeat, it was like a massive amount of vibration was coming with each new heartbeat. And it was to a point where it was making me uncomfortable. It kind of felt like my body was about to separate, it was to that point. And this all happened within a few seconds. I started to purge and coughed and leaned forward and went to spit, hack up a loogie, and went to spit it in the yard. And when I leaned forward, beside me, I just saw a pair of feet, within a feet or two of me, beside me, facing the same way. And it was black. So it was kind of like a shadow. I stood up. Immediately, all my attention was focused on that. I dropped my tobacco and just kind of looked at the shadow. I tried to make sense of it in my mind for a few moments, saying it was a shadow from a streetlight behind me. I turned around and looked for a streetlight. To my demise, there was no streetlight, so I turned back around and started to process what else it could be. And when I turned back, eyes opened up. It was pure black, like a shadow. And really, until its eyes opened up, I really thought it was my shadow. And once I started to open up, I saw stars, I saw galaxies, I saw shooting stars inside its eyes. I kind of just dove into its eyes and got massive downloads of. I got to see the first spark of the darkness, how creation started. I got explained a lot about frequency and vibration. I got a lot of tones downloaded at me that come out in my ceremonies now, that are communicating things I have no idea what they are. And but that whole process lasted, to my best estimate, a few seconds.
Wow.
Broke contact with it, went inside and turned around, locked the door, kind of freaked out a little bit and woke my wife up. I was like, hey, there's a alien on the back porch. If you want to go talk to it, it's back there. I'm not going back there again. And calmed down after an hour and a half, half hour or so, went to bed. Obviously that conversation continued for the next couple of days. It slowly faded off. And within a week or so, I found myself having a similar situation to the Sasquatch, where I had a dream where the dream started off. I was standing on the back porch and not really knowing I wasn't Drew in this dream. I saw Drew walk out, light his tobacco, start to cough, spit up a loogie in the yard, and had the same experience from the other viewpoint. And that's happened with eagles. That's happened with, tons of things I've had contact with over these past couple of years. So those are the two really cool ones, I guess.
I've had that happen with dogs and horses, where I see myself in there or see something else in their point of view.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
That's awesome.
I want to
go ahead.
I want to share a poem before we can do this at the end.
That'd be now.
God, I lost it. Okay. It's gonna give me just a second. So, things coming up. We do have ceremony next weekend with ayahuasca. We have a returned some of our medicine family from Florida that's coming. It's her birthday, so she's coming, decided to celebrate her birthday with us. Shout out to Christine. Looking forward to seeing you, sister. Yeah, and we have a couple other people coming, some people from Colorado. So we still have open slots. We will be doing 2 nights with ayahuasca and Changa. And let's see, August 29th, I'll be performing at Crestone Energy Fair with the didgeridoo. I've been invited to play with my buddy's band up there, so really excited about that. Going to be speaking at a conference in Florida in November for it's a QHHT. If you don't know what that is, look up Dolores Cannon QHHT, but it's a QHHT reunion. They've asked me to come speak at.
Oh, cool.
I do have that poem up right now.
Okay.
And this is inspired by my wife. One night I'll just give the background of what inspired us. One night I was laying down with her and we were falling asleep, and I was holding her, and I just kind of had this flash of lifetimes in other dimensional fields where we're not together. And I just felt so lucky in that moment of knowing that there's been so many times and spaces that we're not together, and it made me really appreciate that moment and just this life with her. So this goes out to my wife Ella, and it's inspired by her. My cosmic heart is flooded with memories of lifetimes apart. I've known I was a light being from the start. In this moment, in this flesh, my walk is to find the balance between light and dark. I'm from a place far beyond Mars, a place without cars and bars and the existence of scars. A place without pain, a place some say sounds insane, a place where everyone is a lion with beautiful, majestic manes. It's a place without dying and lying, where our souls are constantly flying towards their eternal sun, so they may walk in flesh again, to manifest, to love, to grow, to have fun. This is the time to understand the thunder beings have come. This is the age of one.
Nice. Thank you. That's lovely. Is that in your book as well?
No, that's on my Facebook page. I probably added I probably throw it in the book.
At some point.
Shouts out to, my first book. I'm perfect. I have a hard time plugging myself. I never know really what to do at this point. People like, plug yourself. I was like, I don't know what to do. This is the book. I'm perfect and so are you. It's Colleen Duran. She's a PhD. She's a retired neuropsychologist. She's my co-author, my writing partner for the first book. She was a collaborator for the first book and co-author for the second. So she's going to be a lot more of her adding on some of her thoughts into the second book. The second book is Find Your Own Guru. Let the light channel through you. But I got the inspiration from one of my buddy's songs. People has been hounding me about the title to the second book. I didn't know what to call it or what it was going to be. And I was rolling a joint the other day and I was like, well, it's time to get this. So I asked the joint and, Madre Cannabis to help us out and help us find the title of the book. My buddy's song come on, and in the middle of it, he talks about Find Your, and his song his name is Chances Are Good Way. The name of the song is I Am God. It talks about the Pleiadian agenda, and there's a line in there. It says, find your inner guru, let the light channel through you. And I knew just as soon as I heard find your inner guru, I knew that was the title of the book. So it's going to be talking a lot about alchemy, but it's also going to be I'm going to be sharing what it's like carrying the message that I'm carrying this understanding, and what it's like still being a human, and what it's like dealing with death in the family, and what it's like dealing with relationships, and how communication is. There's a lot of people that has met me and they're like, man, I wish I could do what you're doing. And, well, you can, but just know that there's a whole other side to this, that you still have to be a human and still with this understanding. And that comes with a whole different, you have to figure out how life is going to work. And sometimes, the relationship with my two kids from my first marriage, it's been struggling for years. And I wrecked my horse a few weeks ago and I still hurt my back. I'm still subject to the physical and the human experience, but my perception of it is different. And that's the only thing we can really change. So let's do it all together. And if you need help, I'm here. Me and my wife can help you figure that out.
That's so beautiful. That's so well said. And you can find all of that on Mr. Drew's website. So Linda, if you want to maybe pop that back into the chat one more time, that would be awesome. Super appreciate it. So, all right, we're going to wrap up here. We are a little over time and well worth it. So let's just thank everybody. Of course, we thank Miss Linda and Jillian for being here. I want to thank everybody who has been in the live chat participating. We appreciate you. We value you. Thanks for showing up. We have all of our links down below. We have Drew's links and our links all down below. And so you can check out more information there. Next week, we're going to have Phyllis Douglas on, aka Vox Angelus, who's identifies really more as an angelic being who's been other ET souls, but she channels angelic music and angelic energy. So that's going to be amazing. Finally, thanks again, Mr. Drew, for being here with us. What a blessing. Will you come back on the show and be with us again?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Because we didn't talk about your perfect. Because we didn't talk about your NDE stuff. We didn't talk about your channeling. So we've got more to connect with you on. But Linda, if you want to take us out, you've got the power. What?
Oh my God.
Hold on.
Okay. Hold on just a second. The medicine church. Our medicine church is going through a growth spurt right now. We've had, I wrecked my horse a couple weeks ago, ended up going to a chiropractor. Ended up coming to ceremony, him and his wife. Well, I fell off my horse. Okay. Anyways, hurt my back really bad, had to go to a chiropractor, and really that was a blessing in disguise. The chiropractor, him and his wife, ended up coming to their first ayahuasca ceremony with us. And he's decided to donate time and lumber with his heavy machinery and donate lumber to helping us build our ceremony house, a new horse stable, and a new greenhouse. So we are still looking for donations for the rest of the materials for that. This is only lumber and labor with building this. We still need materials for the roof and some other things we need. So if anyone feels the calling to help out, please reach out through the website, whether it be with labor, monetary donations, or just a prayer. I appreciate all of it. And yeah, moving forward, just with everybody in humanity outside of this conversation, regardless, trust and surrender is the mantra. Trust in yourself, surrender to yourself, and surrender to what you could become, and let go of what you think you are, because what you could become is probably much greater than what you really are. I love you all and I appreciate it, and take it from there, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Drew. Yeah, I'll be down your way in the very, very near future, because I want to talk about that in the group, in our Facebook group. Again, leave that link below if you want to join. But if anyone wants to join me in going to Drew's, let me know. Let's make that happen. Linda, do you want to take us out, hon? You have got the power to take us out since you're the one who has the buttons to click on.
I do. I will. Thank you, everybody. We love you. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.